Hi everyone, my name is Giselle Kowalski and I'm the digital content producer here at Texas State University. You're listening to Try at Texas State and today's episode is about rugby. When I used to imagine the game of rugby, I thought of immensely large guys barreling through one another, creating a human hill to protect a ball. But there's an element to rugby that I think we Americans have yet to understand. Rugby players exude a feeling of belonging with whoever joins their team, on or off the field. There's an unspoken air of kindness when you walk onto the pitch between not only the players, but their opponents, referees, and fans. I sat down with the president of Texas State's rugby team to learn a little bit more about the game and to get insight as to why these sportsmen are so kind in a game that's seemingly brutal.
Just make sure you're always bound to them.
So to begin all of this, just tell us your name and what you do with the rugby team.
My name's Kyle Campbell. I'm the president of the rugby team. My major is animal science, pre-veterinary.
Okay. And so before we started the recording, you were telling me that this is your first year here at Texas State, right?
Yes, it is. It's my first year.
Okay. So did you transfer?
I transferred from Northeast Lakeview Community College. I was a sophomore this year, so I'm a junior this upcoming year.
So let's get into the game of rugby. So say I've never watched a rugby game before and I have no idea what I'm looking at. How would you describe the game and the rules to me?
So the way I describe the game is it's more soccer based. We always say people it's like soccer and football combined.
So how many players are on a rugby team?
Oh yeah, so there's 15 people on the field each time for each team. So your number is kind of what you are, like your position on the field. So your number translates with your position. So like usually your bigger guys are like numbers 1 through 8, and then 9 through 15 are smaller guys. They call them forwards are the first 8, and then backs are the last 7.
Okay.
So that's how we do it. And then the coolest part about rugby, I'd say, is I don't know if you remember from the video, whatever, the lineouts, and then like we did the scrums on that machine. Like a knock-on. So a knock-on is if someone drops the ball and then you want to give possession to the other team, you can't just like restart it. So the way they do it is a scrum. There's 8 people that combine and fight over possession of the ball, kind of in like a little circle per se. And then lineouts are if the ball is kicked out of bounds. So it's the same thing in soccer as like a throw-in, but instead in rugby you kind of lift the guy. In soccer you can just throw it wherever. So that's the only difference there, really.
Yeah, you guys lifted Niles, one of our interns, and you grabbed him by his shorts basically, and then you lift him in the air, like almost like in a dance, like you just launch him up into the air and he catches the ball like that. Correct?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you want to do. Is the taller the guy, the better in that aspect. So you can just throw the ball as high as you can, and then if that guy's taller than the other guy, it's kind of easy for him to win possession.
Yeah.
So usually the guys are a lot bigger that you're lifting. But Niles was great at it. He was pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Texas State rugby team as a whole. And so I know that you guys were called the Renegades before, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So we still use the Renegades name. So the kind of origin of rugby was like back in the 80s, some guys started the club.
The Renegades officially began in 1983 when 2 students, Alan Lizard Noel and Phil Fur McNown, brought the game to the university after having played in Midland, Texas. Since the club was not originally affiliated with the university, the club did not take on the school mascot, nor did they incorporate the traditional school colors of maroon and gold. Now I'm going to read straight from the Texas State's rugby website to give you a full scope of how the team has evolved. Although they achieved club sports status through the university, thus establishing the Southwest Texas State Renegade Rugby Football Club, they continued to compete in the club side level in the Texas Rugby Union. That first season was extremely difficult and failed to produce a win. The first major on-field success came in the spring of 1985 when the club defeated the University of Texas to win the collegiate division of the Austin Rugby Tournament. Remarkably, the club took 3rd place in the open division of the Austin Rugby Tournament that spring. Success became more common in both tournament and match play, including summer sevens by the end of the 3rd season, and the original members were proud to say they had defeated every team they had lost in the first 2 years.
It wasn't affiliated at the beginning with Texas State, so they weren't called the BOBCATS. They were just the Renegades. So we use both now. So it's like we have a big alumni group. So those guys are awesome. So we like to keep everything traditional and keep the name and stuff. So we use both. They're both great. So
yeah, they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So rugby's really violent in the way that we watch it, but is it as violent as it appears?
Yes and no. I don't like the stigma of people that are like, you're going to get injured playing rugby. And so that's our biggest problem with recruiting and everything like that. I've seen one injury in my 4 years of playing. So like one like concussion in my 4 years of playing. So people kind of think you're going to like hit your head all the time, but the rules are really strict against like tackling high. So you have to be chest and below. So if you do tackle high, it's an automatic like yellow card, or even depending on how bad it is, it's a red card. So you're really losing your team the game. So it takes a guy off the field. So that kind of stuff just doesn't fly. And so everything is about safety, especially with the Texas referees and stuff like that. Everything is about safety. So that's the most important part. Unlike football and stuff where you're just going head to head every time, it's not like that. So I think that's the biggest stipulation I try to get out of people's mouths and stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned already like Texas referees versus any other state, correct? So
there's different unions for each state. So there's like Texas and then Kansas and all the other states. They're all the same, but Texas is kind of more serious about rugby than a lot of other states. We have a big rugby culture here. There's like a lot of men's teams like the Austin Huns and the Austin's Blacks and all that stuff that we all hang out with and do other games with. And, they teach us how to play at a higher level than anywhere else. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so how does the Texas rugby culture differentiate from like the international culture?
I'd say international culture is a bit bigger because it is an English game. So it is like overseas. It's a lot bigger than here in the United States. There's this league called the MLR, which is Major League Rugby. They're trying to bring rugby here to the United States and make it a bigger thing because it is a really interesting sport. I think internationally, though, like England and Scotland and New Zealand, South Africa, Ireland, all those teams are huge into rugby. So actually some of our teammates just went down to Argentina for a all-star tour. So they played in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Wow.
So, yeah, they played some guys there, which were I think the biggest difference really is they kind of start young. Everywhere else, they kind of start really young. We don't really have that here, which is like to the youth because, again, parents are like scared, which I'd be scared to put my kid in football too. So it's like it makes sense. So I think the youth part is the biggest difference for sure.
So when we came out to film the Try at Texas State video with y'all, you guys had such a camaraderie about you, and the team was just very friendly and welcoming. And I wanted to know what makes the Texas State team unique in that sense. Like, why are y'all such a family? Like, what about it?
Yeah, I think it's because we all hang out outside of practice. It's not like just we're on the field like doing business. It's like we're all hanging out. We're going to get pizza together. We're watching football games or soccer games, whatever. Just I think really hanging out. And then rugby culture is very much about keeping people involved and keeping people staying with your club. So that's like the hardest part that we have is like retention. So I think just being that friendly face. And I always say this to guys, like it's hard to make friends in college. It really is. So we want to be those guys that you can make friends with and just have a group of guy friends. Like it's really is. I didn't make a single friend before I joined rugby. It's hard to meet people in class.
I flew out to New Orleans one time, and on my flight was a whole team of the Austin Gilgronis.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was so kind. And I was thinking about it, and I don't understand what it is about y'all in comparison to other sports that makes rugby players so kind.
Yeah, it's just about the culture. That's how you're brought. Like, there's no like trash talking. It's a hooligans game played by gentlemen. It's all about being a sportsman, and you don't talk back to the ref. You call him sir. You call him a ref. You're like sir. It's all about respect and just being a good person, because you don't want to be. I think that's the biggest difference between other sports. It's just like, you're pretty much forced to be like a gentleman and like nice on the field and stuff like that. There's no toleration for any bad sportsmanship or anything like that. Anywhere I've ever played, it's always like if you're not a good teammate, then or a sportsman, sorry, they're gonna get on you. Yeah, it's the biggest difference between other sports I've played. You're just like talking crap to the ref or something like that, and like you see all the NBA finals on right now. Everybody's complaining to the ref and stuff, and there's none of that. You can talk to the ref, like you're like, hey, like I think you should like call this or something like that. But yeah, that's it really.
Yeah.
So
What do you wish that Texas State students knew about the Texas State rugby team?
I wish they knew we had a team. So like to begin with,
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing I'm trying to do. Me and our vice president Tony Cooper are really trying to bring the social media up to speed, and I think social media is the biggest aspect. Just really letting people know we have a team and letting people know it's like a friendly environment where everybody's welcome. Doesn't matter, you're welcome. So
Yeah, and I can vouch for that. Y'all were the kindest like sports team that I have ever met.
yeah,
So
we try to be.
I really appreciated that. Are there any opportunities for women to play rugby here at
Yeah,
Texas State?
absolutely. So there is a women's rugby team. If anybody is like looking to play, just the easiest way to get to both of us is looking up Texas State Rugby. We have a men's page and the women have a page. So the women team, we work closely with them. They're great people. They're just as friendly. So they're awesome. They really are.
When it comes to prepping for a tournament, how do you guys mentally prepare for something that's so physically exhausting?
I think the problem is over preparing. So when you over prepare yourself, then you're just thinking about all these other things. Rugby is like, it's not like other sports where you have like set plays and stuff, if that makes sense. It's kind of like you're thinking on the fly, like you kind of make stuff up on the fly. Kind of like soccer, exactly like soccer. So you're just like kicking the ball around. Oh shoot, a lane opens up, then I'm going here. It's kind of the same thing. So you obviously have like your set pieces and stuff and plays, but a lot of it is just like you see stuff on the field that defense gives you something and you go. So it's kind of, you really want to keep an open mind. Rugby is like you kind of just playing, literally just playing. It's the only way you're going to learn, the only way you're going to see how stuff works. So really when we prepare for a tournament, we're just out there playing, just talking about little things. But you don't really want to overcrowd your mind with a bunch of this stuff, so you're thinking all the time while you're on the field. It just makes you not
Perform.
Yeah, perform.
Yeah. So how do you guys build that trust between teammates in order to have your back when you're in those moments where you're improvising, basically?
Again, I think it's just playing with your teammate, and then obviously socializing. People don't really see that as a big aspect of their game, but socializing is a very important aspect of your game, like just hanging out outside of practice, getting dinner together or something like that. You really build that trust, that like outside connection, because you can be connected on the field, whatever. It's not the same as like having a friend, that personal connection. That guy's going to be there for you whenever you need him.
Yeah. So you guys have won 3 Texas divisions, I saw, and then you just told me that you guys placed 9th in the nation.
Yes, ma'am.
What does it take to have a rugby team that is that fantastic?
It takes great coaching, great alumni that support us, and then guys that really care about the sport. So we have a lot of guys on our team that really care about the sport, and it's a lot of fun, and just keeping it fun. And when you're too serious, it's just not it. So you gotta have a lot of fun. I think that's what we do. We have a lot of fun at practice. Obviously, we're serious when it comes down to it, but we have a lot of fun at practice, and we just it's just fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. So if a freshman who's never even touched a rugby ball or ever even seen a practice wants to get involved in some way, like, is there some sort of training or is there something that they should be doing in order to be a part of the team?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have last season, 90% of our guys have never touched a ball before. And I think 70% were like freshmen that have never played rugby before. So that's no big deal. We're used to it. So we recruit all year, every year, all the time. So we're always getting new guys that have never played before. So our coaches have a setup where, like, if you say you join in the middle of the season or something like that, they have a week program that'll catch you up to speed, and then you kind of just get thrown. Thrown in there is the easiest way to learn. I really didn't learn just sitting on the side and like passing around, stuff like that. I really learned when I was in the game and like on the field. So we do have a program set up. The beginning of the season obviously is the best time to join. We kind of like restart from zero, getting everybody to learn the basics and all that stuff. But yeah, if you join in the middle of the season, we have 2 dedicated coaches, 2 new recruits, so they teach you everything about the sport before you get on the field. So it's a lot safer and easier for you to like get into practice and stuff.
Yeah. And I know that you guys said that you had kind of like a fan base, correct? Like for people who don't really want to get involved in rugby but come to the games to support y'all. Is that a thing?
Yeah, we have the Renegade Roses, which is a group on campus. They're great. They support us, do everything, throw little profit shares and stuff for us. So they're awesome. But yeah, if you want to be, that's our biggest thing too this year is we're trying to do a lot of days like a family day, sorority fraternity day, just to get people out there to watch the games. And it really, I've never met a person that didn't like watching rugby. Like it's really a fun sport to watch. So just getting people out there is just a lot of fun. And we're trying to get the game more interactive. We're going to get a DJ this year to come out, just announce games, stuff like that. So we really didn't have that in the past. And I think that's something we can really bring to like a fan experience. I know it's like college rugby, but it's like we just want people to support and have fun. That's all it's about.
Yeah, it sounds like a party.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys have a good time. Whenever I visited y'all, I was like, these guys have a great time every time.
Absolutely. Everybody's so nice and fun. It's just like, it's awesome.
Yeah. So where do you hope the sport of rugby goes in Texas? Like, do you think it's going to become big in these next couple of years? Or
I definitely think so. I think starting with the youth is the most important part. Getting kids to play it when they're younger. So there's just like in the MLR, there's guys from overseas and stuff that have been playing since they were like born pretty much. So that's the biggest leap is you kind of want to overpass those guys. So you kind of got to start young. So I really hope rugby's a lot bigger. I think it can be a huge sport. Just people, it's literally just getting people to know what it is. Like a lot of people I talk to like, oh, what's rugby? Something like that. So just get people to care about the sport and know what it is at first.
Yeah. And so for this upcoming fall semester, when is the best time to come and watch a game for y'all? Like if someone's listening to this right now, like when do y'all practice? When can we come and see y'all?
Yeah. So we don't have an official practice schedule yet. We're still working with Rec Sports, but we do have 3 practices a week. And then we have games every Saturday. But we do have, I think right now we have like 10 games. So they're in the fall and spring. I know one for sure. We have a night game on Friday against UT. So that's going to be a fun one. Towards the beginning of November is when we have that game against UT. And then we have another night game against St. Edwards, those are the best ones to go to. Friday nights, 7 o'clock. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely those.
Sweet. And so if you could describe your time in the Texas State rugby team in just like 5 words, what would they be?
Oh gosh. Fun, entertaining, bonding, caring, just I guess brotherhood would be my last word. I think brotherhood's the most important part. We always tell people to join the brotherhood. That's what it really is. I know I've been harping on that a couple times, but it really is.
It's just a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Kyle. This has been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Try at Texas State podcast. Make sure to tune in next time to learn more about something else you can try on campus at Texas State. And also remember to follow us on our social media at TXST. This podcast is a production of the Division of Marketing and Communications at Texas State University. Podcasts appearing on the Texas State University Network represent the views of the hosts and guests, not of Texas State University. Again, I'm your host, Giselle Kowalski, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.